Now we have another example for the class. Now let's look at this example. We have the PMI class. You know PMI? So we learn, okay, it is the body mass index. Okay. So we have this PMI class. And as you know, this is the class diagram. This is the class name. Those are the data members. So we have name and then age. The name will be string. And then age will be integer. Weight will be float and height will be float. Okay. So let's suppose we want to put all those information as private. Okay. We have minus, 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 minus. All information are private. And then we have the constructor. So the constructor, we usually in the class diagram, the constructor will have the same name as the class name. So if the name is PMI, so let's look, the class name is PMI, then this is constructor. So the constructor will have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we have 4 variables. It indicates the data members in the class. The name is the string, age is integer, and weight is float, and height is float. And there are two methods: get PMI, float. If we have a data type like this one, then it is a written method. It means when we call this method, we will get a value, and the value will be float. Get status. So the status is to get the PMI status, whether it is normal, off weight, and etc. And it will be free. So the previous one, you can see like this one. In this case, I just put written without any details. But in some other classes, you can define what is the written value. The written value is float. The written value is string. If there is no written value, then you don't need to inform anything. Now let's think about this PMI. The first page here is to create the class. So this is the PMI.py. We have the class PMI, and based on the class diagram, we have 3 methods. The first is the constructor, the second is get PMI, the third is get status. Then we can have 3. The first is the constructor, and then the second is get PMI, and the third is get status. The idea is similar with the function. Okay, so this is a function, and this is another function, and this function is inside the class. The only difference is the constructor. So the constructor, it indicates we have name, age, weight, and height, and it is from this argument. For the get PMI, I think you still remember last time. Yeah, we have the measures, we have the formula. If we want to get the PMI, whether we will use the kilogram and meter, or we use the pound and inch. So here is the formula to calculate from the kilogram, and we also convert from inch to meter. And the last one, after we know the status, so we can check, if we know the PMI, then we can check what is the status. So PMI will be self.get PMI. It means we will call this function. So if you call the method, if you call the variable, if you call the data members, you will use self.underbar data. If you call this one self.underbar width, self.underbar height. But how if you want to call the method? Same with the data members. You just use self dot and then call the function name. The function name is get PMI. After you get PMI, you will see that, okay, this number will be rounded and we will get a number in the PMI. So we will check if the PMI is less than this, then it is underweight. If not, then let's check. If the PMI is less than this one, then it is normal. If not, then let's check. If PMI is less than 30, it is overweight. Else, return obese. It means, yeah, there should be a value of obese. After we have the PMI, now we need to have a client program. So the client program means I will execute the PMI. In this case, I'm going to import the PMI class from the PMI.py. This is the main function. So the PMI1, let's say the name is John, and then his age is 18, and then his height is 145, and then his weight is 70. So I can just get the PMI for get name, get PMI, get status. So we have the PMI 2, we have Peter King 50, 251 and 70, and then we can again call the PMI to get name and PMI to get PMI and PMI to get status. Now let's check this one. So I'm going to create a new Python file. Its name is PMI. Yeah, if you look at the PowerPoint, actually the PMI is longer. Okay. You can see the below part. There are some more functions: get name, get age, get weight, and get height. Okay. So if you look at the code in the PyCharm, so you can copy and paste the code. So we have the init, we have get PMI, we have get status. Or you can look at the structure. So in the structure, you can see the constructor. We have get PMI, we have get status, and we have get name, get age, get weight, and get height. What are they? If I call the function name get name, I want to get the username or the name of the person. If I call the get age, I want to get the age. If I want to get width, then I will get the width. If I call the get height, I will get the height. Okay. So after this, we call the function, we call the class by creating the client program. Use PMI class. Let me create a new Python file. So the client program can be anything. The name, maybe if you want to PMI class call, okay, then it is also fine because it is a client program. But the PMI should be the same with the PowerPoint because I'm using this import function. So the import function, it depends on the definition of your class. Now you can run. Okay, the PMI for John Doe is 20.81 normal. The PMI for Peter King is 30.85 obese. So this guy, Peter King, has obesity. Okay. Now let's look another example. We have exercise. Write a client program that enters students. It means, yeah, there will be some students, not only one student. Then access a student class which have two attributes, name and GPA. So do you know GPA? Okay, GPA is in Korea, 학종. Okay, grade point average. Grade point average. Okay, because this is the GPA. And I want the class have a function to return the maximum and the average of GPA from all objects. For example, the number of students. Okay, I want to have 3. Then the student 1 is Bob and the student 1 GPA is 2.5. The student 2 name is Chloe and the student 2 GPA is 3. And the student 3 name is David and the student 3 GPA is 3.1. Now I will check based on this information. Okay, the student with the best GPA is David. David is the highest GPA and the average GPA is 2.86. How to get the 2.86? It is 2.5 plus 3 plus 3.1 divided by 3. Okay. Now we have this class diagram. This class diagram, okay, we will have a new class, it is student, and then I have a name, which is string, and then GPA, which is float. So the init is the constructor, and there will be 2 arguments. As name is the student name and GPA. And then we have get name, get GPA. It means a return function. So we will get the name and we will get the GPA. We will get the set name and we will set the GPA. So if you want to modify, of course, we need to have more functions to calculate the maximum and the average. Okay. Now let's check how we can solve this problem. So the student class, is this one. Let's make this student class. So let me make a student class. Let me make Python file student. Okay, I hope that by now you can understand this class. It is a student class, and then we have a constructor with two arguments. The first argument will be for the name, and the other argument will be for the GPA. So we have get name to get the name of the students. We want to get the GPA. We want to get the GPA from the students. Set name. So we want to modify if we need to modify it, and set GPA. We can modify if we need to modify the GPA. Now we need to do something with the requirements from the problem. So let's look at this book. Okay. I have the student. Yeah, you can make any name. Student class, for example. Okay. Because we are going to use the student class, so you need to import the student class from the student.py. Now I'm going to run the main function. Okay. The main function is first create how many objects that you want to create. Here is the input, and the input will be integer. And next, I am going to make a list. You still remember this one? None. Multiply by num. Num means the number that we want to make. So there will be 3, let's say. Then it will create none, comma, none, comma, none. Okay. So if the input is 3, then there will be 3 elements in the list. It means this element will be one object. This is another object, and this is another object. So let's have the variable total is 0, index is 0, and max is 0. I'm going to do the repetition. The repetition will be from 0 until num. Num is the number of students that we need. If it is 3, then it will be 0, 1, 2. So let's input the name and input the GPA. So if it is the name, it is string, and then let's just put the float for the GPA. After I know that it is one object, so let's create a new object student. Okay, so this is the object student, and this object will be in the list. So it will be in the list num of student. I is from 0, 1, and 2. Then if I is 0, the first student will be in the index 0. If I is 1, then the second student will be created. If I equals to 2, then the index 2 will be the object of the student number 3. I'm just making this total plus equal to GPA. So basically, this is also similar with the problem in the problem number 2 in the code challenge. Okay. problem number 3. Okay, so we can do the accumulation. We can add all those numbers. After we add those numbers, we can limit. If the numbers is higher than the total, then stop. That's the problem in the code challenge. But here we want to just sum all the GPA. Why we do the summation? Because we want to know the average. Okay. So getting the average means we will do the summation for all GPA and then divide with the number of the students. And then I would like to check if the GPA is higher than the value max. Okay, let's find out the index. Where is the index? This is the index of the student. And then I'm going to update the value of mx. The mx will be the maximum between the value mx and GPA. After we have this one, then it will be a loop until the number of the students. If we finish, then we will check. The student with the best GPA is the number of students. It is the variable of a list, and we call the index. The index means the student which has the highest GPA. And then I want to get the name. So if I have a list like this one, maybe student 1, student 2, student 3. So if the student 1 is the highest GPA, then I will just call the function get name. So I don't need to make S1, S2, S3. I just call using the list. I want to know the object in the index something. I want to get this name. So the object in the index something is the object from the student. And then the average is the total divided by num. Num means the number of students that I want to input. Okay, let's run. How many students? So let's say 3. Okay, so input the name Bob, and then the GPA is 3.0. Let's say Chloe, and then the GPA is 2.86. And then David, and the GPA is 3.5. Okay, the student with the best GPA is David. And then the average GPA is 3.11999 something. Okay. Okay, now we learn about the static method. So we learn about the method. We call this is the method in the student. This is the method in the student. There can be another kind of method that we can create in the client program. For example, after I know the GPA, I want to check if the GPA is higher than 3.5, then excellent. If the GPA is not higher than 3.5, then just general. So it means I'm going to create a new function. So I can do this one. I can do this one. So you can put this one here. Okay. And then there will be one more function that you can place in the client program. So the check GPA means I want to know whether the grade is excellent or general. So this is one argument, and this argument is the GPA. The GPA, it is based on the student who will be in the highest GPA. So let's say how many students? Let's say 3. And I put Bob and the GPA is 3.0. Let's say Chloe is 2.86. And then let's say David is 3.51. Name check GPA is not defined. I think I need to put this one not here, but I need to put here. So 3, I have Bob 3.0. Name is Chloe is 2.86. And then David, it is 3.51. Okay. So David grade is excellent. So the previous one, I put the check GPA below the main function, so it is error. Okay. Why it is error? Because whenever you create the function, when you call the main function will be the lowest one, or the main function will be the most below statement. And other functions should be above. The other function should be not below the main function. Okay. Now let's look at another problem. Okay, so this is a problem from the book about the Python that I use for the reference of this class. Now we have we call it UML. Okay? So this is UML, or Unified Modeling Language. And let's look at this class diagram. In this class, we have the circle as the class name, and the data fields, we have radius, which is a float, and then we will have a constructor. So the constructor is this circle, and radius equal to 1, and it is float. What does it mean? This is the default constructor. Radius equals to 1. It means when we call this class, if there is no argument, then the value of radius will be 1. Get area. This is methods, and it will return float. Now, after you have this class, let's create 3 objects. The first object is circle. The second object is circle 2. The third object is circle 3. And the circle 1 is 1. The circle 2 is 25 for the radius. And the circle 3 is 125 for the radius. Okay, then how can we make this one? So we know that the area of circle is height multiplied by radius power of 2. So we can just use this formula for the area. I give you directly. Okay. Now, in this case, I want to create everything in one file. Okay. I want to create everything in one file. So I have the Python file, circle, like this. So the class circle means this is the class from the class diagram, and then we have a constructor in it. It is constructor, and we have one argument radius, and the radius equals to 1. So it is the default constructor. So the radius will be equal to radius. We can get the radius, means we want to get the radius value. Okay, I put another method, get perimeter. Get perimeter means the perimeter of a circle. Yeah. So it is 2 multiplied by the radius multiplied by the pi. And get area is the radius multiplied by the radius multiplied by pi. Now, for the circle number 1, no argument. Then the radius equals to 1. Okay. Why 1? Because the default is 1 if we don't have any argument. Circle 25. Then the radius will be 25. And this one, the radius will be 121. So we can get the area of a circle 1, circle 2, and circle 3. Run. Okay, so this is the area of circle 1, this is the area of circle 2, and this is the area of circle 3. Okay. When you do with PyCharm, I think it is good to separate like this point. Okay, so you have the point class and you have a different client program. So the client program means this one, like main, test point 3, test point 4, test point 6. So this is a different file. But when you do the assignment in Guru, you need to put everything in one file. Okay, then I show you an example how to put everything in one file. So the first will be the class, okay, and then you can define the main function. So you can call the class circle in the main function, and you can put them in one file. Okay. Okay, then this is the end about the object oriented. So you learn about the classes and fields. You learn about the behavior methods. You learn about the constructor. And yeah, we learn some examples of object oriented programming.